Alrighty then. Let's stream. There's a channel, there's a stream. Audio is working as it should. Streams up, chats up, we're all good to go. That's fantastic. Shouldn't be too far away from the start, folks. Should have around about 18 drivers or so for this round of the championship. Quickly double check that, as a matter of fact. Let's have a look. Looks like it should be 18. We'll be missing a Red Bull and a Williams for today. Or at least a Red Bull driver and a Williams driver. We won't be using the official cars in this race for reasons I think everyone knows. So, but we'll dabble on about that later in the session. For now though, just sit patiently and wait. Shouldn't be too far away from the start of this session. Thank you, game. Voice chat suspended. That's great. A bit frustrating to see how many cars are the same colour. Thankfully, Drag King and Smokey, they've sort of coordinated themselves. Same with Rebel and Blockman. Coral's in a Aston Martin style car from the looks of things, based off the colour next to his name. Captain Schmeg in a white car, that should be right. Oh, there's the let's go signal from KD. Okay, I guess we're not mucking around. So we do have a few drivers missing, but it seems that we are going to press forward. Okay. There's a timer. When that hits 0, I'll start up my intro as per normal, and we can move on to the race ahead. Hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the America's Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Constructed in 2008 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, Singapore is most famous for hosting the first ever night race in Formula 1 history. But if you take the unique atmospheric conditions aside, you have a technical street course that has been the home of drama and controversy for many, many years. The circuit has remained relatively unchanged from its original design. The Singapore Sling at turn 10 has been the only part of the circuit that has been massively changed, and that was done all the way back in 2013. 10 years later, though, in preparation for the 2023 season, the circuit would undergo its biggest change yet. Thankfully, the developers at Codemasters were able to create a rendition of this new circuit and add it through one of the most recent updates. The circuit has been shortened down to 3.07 miles and features 19 corners, 4 less than the previous design. This is because the bus stop section after turn 15 has been completely bypassed. It creates a flat out section from the hairpin at turn 14 all the way down to the circuit's final chicane at turn 16 and 17. Potentially, and as it's demonstrated in both Elite Series and Pacific Tier 1, it adds a new overtaking spot on the racetrack. The circuit also retains the 3 DRS zones it originally had that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, Turn 7 and Turn 14. But equally, even with the extra overtaking spot, qualifying will prove to be an important factor for achieving victory today. Speaking of which, the lap times are set to tumble here at Singapore, but don't be fooled. Less corners doesn't mean less danger. Marina Bay is a concrete jungle where a single mistake, big or small, can have massive consequences. Before we focus on this qualifying session, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous race at Spa. Only a single incident report involving KD and Nico, and the incident took place at turn 1 in the main race. Nico was found at fault and he was given a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point for the incident. With the penalty added on, Nico would move from P8 to P10 in the final results. In the Drivers' Championship, it is Axis who is leading the way on an even 100 points. P2 is KD 1997. He's on 81 points, 19 behind the championship leader. Blockman's P3 on 76, followed by Saucy on 56. Jay in the Williams rounds out the top 5. He's on 49 points. In the Teams' Championship, it's Alpine leading the way on 120, followed by AlphaTauri on 112. Williams are next on 94 points, followed by Ferrari on 84. Then Haas rounds out the top 5 on 68 points. Rebel has just begun his first flying lap attempt, but we might stick it out with Blockman as he gets ready for his first flying run. Right on board with him. Take you on a tour of this new 3-mile Singapore circuit. Round the final 2 corners and onto the main straightaway. We'll open DRS and head up towards turn 1. We'll get hard on the brakes here. Through 1, into 2, and then around turn 3. He'll get back on the power in 3rd gear, shift up to 4th as he exits turn 4, and head towards turn 5. Drop it down to 4th gear, back on the power. You'll open DRS and head up towards turn 6. 7th gear. Shift it up into 8th gear. Now up towards turn 7. Easily the best overtaking spot on the circuit. 4th gear through the left-hander as we head into the right of turn 8. 3rd gear back on the power. Using the full width of the circuit as we head around turn 9. Clips the inside curb. Maybe a bit too early on the apex there. Had to back out quite a bit to avoid hitting the barrier on the outside. Around the sling, turn 10. Then the chicane of 11 and 12. Over the Anderson Bridge and into turn 13. 2nd gear here. Gently applies the power. We open DRS and head up towards turn 14. 7th gear. Braking after the 100. Down to 3rd. It's back on the power as Rebel sets the benchmark at 29.1. Out of turn 15. Flat out here towards the final chicane of 16 and 17 as he brushes up against the DHL barrier. Now 2 corners remain, turns 18 and 19. Brief lift and then flat out round the final corner. Blockman beats his teammate by, what's that, about 10th and a half or so as KD jumps to the top with a 28.887. He's in the Tribute Alfa Romeo car. Bit interesting here for the American series. They don't have official time set from the looks of things. So that makes it a bit interesting. Overcast conditions, but it's proper daylight here at Singapore. I don't know why, Luke. I'm guessing they didn't set it to official time. Probably left it on custom accidentally. Hopefully it's night time for the race ahead. If not, I don't know if there'd be a reset. We'll wait and see. Axis and Smokey still in the pit lane, so they haven't bothered to jump out early to try and get a lap on the board. Got JBH making his way around the circuit. Black Baller doing the same, heading around turn 8. F1 Tom goes back into the pits. Drag King out on track, heading around the hairpin at turn 13. As an Alfa Romeo driver, he's got a nice maroon base livery. Makes it easier for me to pick him out. Same with his teammate Smokey, who is currently in the pit lane. Out of turn 14 and around turn 15. Heading up towards the final chicane. Building up to a speed of 181 miles an hour. Drags it all the way down to an apex speed of about 67. 2 corners remain. Nice and tidy. Keeping it well within the white lines. Not doing a stroll. He'll set a 30.7. 9th fastest at the moment. JBH now takes that from him. He sets a 30.0. Black Baller will be the next cut across the line. He does a 31.3. 11th quickest. Yeah, I'll quickly dart my eyes over to the Discord, see what's going on. But yeah. Don't know if we might get a reset. Wait and see. Got Axis getting ready for a run in a pink mobile. Well, he'll stand out from the crowd. It'll be quite easy to spot on the minimap and on the racetrack itself. He'll make his way out of the chicane and around the final 2 corners. He'll begin his first flying lap attempt. My ride on board with this one. 7th gear. Up into top gear. Braking for turn 1. Dropping it down to 4th. Hits the apex through turn 2. Then around the left at turn 3. 3rd gear. Back on the power. 4th. 5th. Into 6th. Drops it down to 4th gear. Hitting the... Oh, he invalidates. Deary me. Running a bit too wide at the entry to turn 5. It's cost him. Slap one cannon. He's backed off appropriately. Smokey will begin a flying lap. He makes his way down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Off one, Tom, where are you? Bonjour, Quebec. Well, fair enough, he is Canadian, isn't he? Oh, he loses control, Smokey. As he exited turn 3, heads around turn 4, lost the back end. Thankfully, he only tapped the wall with the rear end of the car. If he tapped the wall with the front end of the car, he might have been in a lot of trouble. Luckily, he didn't. Coral making his way through the final chicane. And around turn 18, then 19. Towards the line, he'll do a 30.2. Not faster than his current PB of a 29.9. Must say, seeing this track in the day, it's a completely different perspective. So much more you can see. See all the greenery around the racetrack you don't normally see. Little Mick on an outlap getting himself ready. Axis will go back to pit lane. Smokey appears to be pushing still. Or almost running over the white line there. Almost costing himself a lap. Tom making his way around turn 9. Still yet to set a lap time. Out of the final chicane and up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. He decides to bail on the lap, so he wasn't particularly happy with how it was panning out. He's back into pit lane. Jay out on track. Saucy on a flyer, making his way towards the first sector split. Rather appropriately, he's in the Verstappen mobile, as he is a Red Bull driver. Not appropriately, he's run wide at the exit of turn 7. It's cost him a lap. Rebel making his way through the first sector. And the Alpine mobile, it's actually the same livery the Alpines were using in Pacific Tier 1. So that's cool to see. Oh, at least it's fairly close to what they were using. Not quite as good as Pacific Tier 1, but still, gets the message across, it's an Alpine. Round turn 7, down to 2nd gear, back on the power, loses the back end. Lost a little bit of time with that small mistake. Blockman's just in front, that's why there were yellow flags out. He's waiting for his teammate to get by. KD's making his way towards the first sector split. He's actually down on his PB at the moment by 23 thousandths of a second as he makes his way around turn 8. Very tidy there from KD. DRS open for Rebel, heading up towards the middle sector split. He is well down, so he's evidently lost a fair chunk of time through that middle sector. Jay, he's making his way through the middle sector as well. Heading up towards the middle sector split. Clock says he is well down by half a second. KD Meanwhile, up by 64 thousandths now, so he's found time. Around turn 15. Flat out here. All the way up to the chicane. Go on the brakes hard. Down to third. Clips the first apex. Clips the second. Very, very tidy there from KD. 2 corners remain. As he heads back onto the main straight away, he will improve to set a 128.816. What can Blockman do in response? As he heads onto the straightaway, leading up to the flat-out right-hander of turn 6. Clock says to the first sector split, he is up by 0.07 of a second. Up towards the turn 8 right-hander. Down towards the turn 9 left-hander. Very tidy from Blockman. Now into the sling. Turn 10. Doesn't rustle it. Through 11. Then 12. Over the bridge. Down into the hairpin. Second gear back on the power. Oh! A brief snap of oversteer. He overcorrected. Drove himself into the wall on the outside. It's cost him time. Not a huge chunk. But he might bail on this lap. Given there's only 5.5 minutes left in qualifying. It might be a good idea to just go back into pit lane. Put on another set of tyres. And just wait till the end of the session. Well, Blockman doesn't decide to do that. Instead, he completes this lap and does not improve. I don't know why. I would have thought it would be a smarter idea to just go back into the pits and put on another set of tyres. Wait right to the end of the session, but no, he decided to complete that lap. So, interesting. Axis. Round the turn 13 hairpin. Second gear, short shifts up to third. Very, very tidy at the exit of that corner. Force feedback settings. Oh, yeah. Yeah, after the most recent update in this game, Codemasters have somehow reset everybody's controller settings and force feedback settings, and yeah, amongst other issues that they've actually introduced or reintroduced in this game, as Axis jumps to the top in the pink mobile with the 28.6. But yeah, the most recent update is Axis cuts turn 2. You're not supposed to do that. In this most recent update, Codemasters essentially did... Oh, listen, I was throwing it in the wall there. Codemasters essentially did, and pardon my French, a fucky wucky. They have completely screwed up. The equal performance setting that we use in multiplayer to use the official cars doesn't work at all. So we've had to resort to using the F1 World Cup. And people have put effort in to try and reflect the car that they normally drive with their multiplayer car. Others have taken a more unique approach, aka this. But yeah, amongst that, yeah, all the feedback settings, all the controller binding settings, all of that stuff have been reset. And that isn't a problem for me, because outside of commentary, I don't play this game, because it's terrible. So it's a real shame for everyone who, you know, actually plays this game on the regular. Just basically have the stuff that you've worked on throughout this game cycle and then have it all reset on you, and you have to do it all over again. So yeah, thanks Codemasters, cheers for that one. You know, your ability to add in stuff is just impeccable, honestly. Bug fixes that create more bugs. Top notch quality. Alright, so we've got KD out there. Who is in front of him? It's not Mr. Nas. Tom? No. Coral? Little Mick? It's Little Mick. Oh, you're jumping around a bit. Little Mick Making his way out of turn 13. I might go back up to KD in the 33 Stradale Tribute design. It is a very nice looking car. It's a bit weird he's in an Alfa Romeo though as a Ferrari driver. It's just a little weird. But that's what he's in. He's backing off quite a bit here. You can see he's riding the brake, trying to make sure he's got plenty of tyre temp ready for his final run. We got a minute and a half now as the yellow flag comes out and blocks the clock. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. It's gone. KD gets ready for his final run. Through the chicane at 16 and 17. Up towards the final two corners. Let's see what KD can do. Onto the main straightaway. He has DRS wide open. Down towards turn 1. 7th gear, revving it out. Drops it down to 5th. Down to 4th for turn 1. Through 2. Dropping it down to 3rd gear for turn 3. Oh, little wiggle there. Out to the left-hander. Up towards turn 5 now. Drops it down to 4th. Back on the power. Reaches full throttle. Had a fair chunk of room between him and the wall there, so a bit conservative at turn 5, but tidy overall. Up by 0.07 of a second, or 69 thousandths to be absolutely exact. Rebel, meanwhile, he's heading up towards the first sector split. What can the Alpine driver do? He's up by a fair chunk. He's up by almost 0.3 of a second to the first sector. Towards the sling now for KD. Turn 10. Cut a lot there. Cut quite a fair chunk of track. As he exits turn 12. Towards the hairpin at 13. Brings it down to 2nd gear. Short shifts up to 3rd. Almost drives it into the barrier. He ran it that wide. Clock says to the middle sector he's up by almost 2.5 tenths. Rebel out of turn 13 as well. DRS open. Towards the middle sector split. He's up by 0.6 of a second. This is looking like a big lap from Rebel. Out of turn 17. 2 corners to go for KD. Round 18. Round 19. Back onto the main straight. He takes provisional pole. Axis, his session is done. The best he can hope for is P2. Saucy jumps up to P4. Rebel jumps up to P2. He misses out on pole position by a few hundredths of a second. What can Blockman do in response? Towards the middle sector split. The clock says he's up by 0.6 of a second. That's enough for pole. He's looking at a very low 28. 4 corners to go. Up towards the chicane. 16 and 17. On the brakes. 4th gear. Back on the power. Very, very tidy. Out of 17. Round 18. Round 19. Back onto the main straightaway. It is pole position for Blockman. A 1 minute 28.391. Takes pole position by exactly 0.04 of a second. I believe that was Captain Schmeg who just jumped up. 5th place for him. But there we go, the end of qualifying, and a tight one it turned out to be. Not much separating the top 2. So there we are, Blockman at the top of the board. KD P2, Rebel not too far behind as well. 0.08 separating the top 3. Axis wasn't able to get out again to do another lap. He will start P4, Captain Schmeg P5, followed by Saucy in 6th. Then we have JBH, Jay, Coral, and Little Mick rounding out the top 10. RF1 Tom P11, followed by Drag King, Black Baller, Smokey, and Mr. Nars starting from the back in 15th position. There we are. Not bad at all from top 3. And I reckon Axis probably would have got in the fight if he timed his final lap better. He got out right at the end of the session. You could see him, he cut a lot of turn 2, probably cut a few other bits as well to try and get back into pit lane, but he ultimately ran out of time. But yeah, there's a lobby restart that is going to take place. And that is because of the time settings. So yeah, a few people have already left. As you can see, it's daytime. It's not meant to be. So we're going to duck out of this and create a new lobby. Where to sit at least for a bit. Probably over here. Oh. For once it isn't the game's fault, we just... Rebel, who's in charge of making the lobbies, accidentally left the time settings on random instead of having it on official. It happens. People make mistakes. Yeah, the first time ever, I think, seeing a F1 qualifying session in the day. I've seen F2 qualifying sessions in the day as a commentator, but for F1, no, that's a first. First time for everything, I suppose. Decent lap times put on the board as well. Low 28s in less than perfect conditions. Not bad at all. Put that in perspective, fastest qualifying lap I've seen so far at this new track is Ryan Bell, 27.3. So that's 1 second, and you've got to remember the track conditions aren't fully optimized in the daytime, so... What's this from KD? Send me an image. Yeah, oh, okay. That's fine. Yeah, hopefully this won't take too long, folks. I don't think I received an invite yet. Yeah, didn't think so. Keep sitting in here for a bit. I guess I'm gonna have to request an invite then. Let's see here. That one. Alright. I can't request an invite for God's sake. Where's the invite? Alright. Oh. Now we just sit and wait again. A couple of drivers still haven't picked a car yet. Hopefully it doesn't shove them into spectator mode. Alright. Waiting time's over. Ready up signal has been given. Coral better choose a car, otherwise he'll be stuck in spectator mode. Not careful. At least I think he might be stuck in spectator mode. Right when the music ends. Well, ain't that one nice piece of timing. Alright, hopefully with appropriate weather conditions. Should have a nice night race here at Singapore. Hopefully drivers choosing their tyre allocations again. But the reset, honestly, I think a lot of people would choose harder, you would think, just to have that extra set of hard compound tyres. I imagine that would be quite useful to have, rather than the extra set of softs. So, I wouldn't be surprised if a fair few of them ended up picking harder for this particular event. Especially now that you don't have to worry about qualifying. So, and what do you know? It's night time. Goody goody. Now, hopefully no one has clicked the ready up button too soon. Drivers need to make sure that they have setups applied onto their car. Because if they don't, they're going to have a horrible time driving a default setup car around a racetrack like this. Essentially, they're going to turn themselves into a real-life Red Bull. All in all, though, I'm hopeful for an interesting race. Top three very close together. Access not too far behind, and he's shown over the course of this season that he has a lot of pace. Captain Schmeg, I'm sure, would be pretty happy with his 5th place, and he'd be hopeful to try and hang on to that after qualifying. Remember, folks, as well, no formation lap, so as soon as we cut to the grid, it's going to be lights out and away we go. Here in my left ear, mechanic going absolutely nuts with the rattle gun. Gee whiz. Alright, here we go. Everyone lined up, ready to race. We have 5 red lights, and we're underway here in Marina Bay. It's a nice start from KD in P2. Nice start from one of the cars further back. I think that might be JBH. Side by side between the leaders through turn 2 and around turn 3. And around goes Axis. He tumbles down through the order, down to 11th after a spin at turn 2. 3 wide action, heading up towards turn 5. It's tight stuff. Axis tries to fight back. Oh, and into the wall! Into the wall goes Blockman. He throws it away. He's still in the race, though, thankfully, but he's now down in last place, side by side into turn number 7. Little Mick gets in front. Tom tries to follow suit. Yellow's out for Black Baller as he spun at the left-hander. Round turn 9, Axis gets in front. So at the front of the field, it's KD who leads, Rebel second, Jay third. Saucy and Captain Schmeg round out the top 5. Coral's had a pretty decent start. He's up to 6th. See here with the position changes, Jay's made up the most out of anybody. Up 5 places from the start. Mr. Nas has made up 4. JBH down 5 after a decent start. He was the black car, pulled alongside everybody around the outside on the main straight. He's now down in 12th position. Round the final 2 corners, back onto the main straightaway. KD leads the first lap. He's got 4 tenths in hand to Rebel in P2. Jay hovering behind in 3rd, Saucy 4th, then Captain Schmeg maintained that 5th place after the start. No one quite close enough yet to try and make any moves. Little Mick closing in on Coral. Don't think by enough though. Try and pass just yet. Down towards turn 7. 6 tenths the gap. KD will try and put the hammer down and pull away. Build himself a neat little margin over Rebel in P2. Rebel will do the best he can to stay within DRS range of the race leader. Midfield pack, they're now making their way through the sling. Can't really do much through this middle sector in terms of overtaking. Can try and mimic Felipe Massa down the inside of that turn 13 hairpin. But ultimately, follow the leader stuff through the middle sector. First real overtaking opportunity at turn 14, and then down here at turn 16 at the chicane. Eight tenths now the gap. KD trying to pull away. Just can't do so for the moment. Looking at the tyre strategies, it's very similar to Pacific Tier 1. A proper 50-50 split in terms of medium and hard compounds being used at the start of this one. Top 3 are on the mediums, so it's understandable then why Saucy's losing time to them. 1.4 seconds behind, he's on the hard compound tyre. And Blockman down in 14th position after his spin at turn 5. He's on the mediums as well. So a seriously less than ideal situation for Blockman. But it's a long, long race ahead. He's got a lot of time to try and make up ground. Down towards turn 9. Rebel keeping well within range of KD. Ferrari driver unable to pull away. Jay doing a good job as well in 3rd position. He strung together a few decent results during the opening stages of this season. He's looking to build on that. Saucy's actually gained a little bit of time here on Jay, so even on those hard compound tyres, they're not particularly slow. Yeah, that's a fair enough comment to make, Luke, especially with the experience you've had with Pacific Tier 1. I've noticed it as well. There isn't a tremendous pace difference between the medium and the hard tyres, especially after 5 laps, as you rightly mentioned. At the moment, the difference is working in the top three's favour, and they are pulling away from the rest of the field. See here, this midfield pack, just one long DRS train, ultimately demonstrating how difficult it is to pass around Singapore. Unless you got DRS, Rebel closes in, not by enough though to attack the race leader, but he increases the pressure. KD knows he's right there. If he makes a mistake, Rebel's ready to attack. JBH gets by Drag King, who's up into 10th. Yeah, gap sitting at half a second, 0.6 of a second. This is straight up identical to what I've seen in Elite and Pacific Tier 1. And frankly, it's making the races very predictable, because no one can get close enough around this track to try and pass unless the car in front of you doesn't have DRS. That's about it. See, Mick closes in on Coral, not by enough to attack just yet, but he's steadily closing that gap. He's not moving around as much as well, like we saw in qualifying. He's still moving though. Connection isn't 100% with him. Oh, KD's built up a margin now. There was a flashing red light on the back of Jay's car. With the telemetry, Rebel 62%. And KD is actually doing quite well for his standards. He's traditionally, in races past, dumped the battery. Here though, he's actually got a fair chunk of it still. It's Jay who's dumped the battery. He's all the way down in single digits, so needs to be a bit careful. The trouble is with Singapore, it's really tough to get it back. You have to be ultra conservative with the battery in order to try and get some of that charge back. Can't use overtake at all. Down the inside goes Blockman. He's up to 13th. He's on the charge to try and recover lost places after his lap 1 incident. Next target will be Mr. Nars. He'll close in with the natural pace that he has. At the 4th gear, back on the power. He's not close enough to make a move here at turn 13. He'll stay behind. Or lock the rears. Got too eager on the brakes there. The back end stood out. He actually messaged in the Discord talking about how frustrating it is with the force feedback changes and the resets made after the most recent update. So he's driving essentially at square one with the car. He doesn't have complete confidence with the inputs that he's making with this thing. So he is struggling, but he's still naturally very, very quick. Can't close in by enough. What about KD here? Might be in trouble. He's using his battery to try and stay in front. He's a fair chunk of it. Rebel doesn't go for it. He backed off early. Let KD keep the lead. What about Coral? Down the inside goes Mick. Oh, ghosting through him. Gee whiz, his connection is that bad. Blockman moves through as well with the power of DRS. He's into 12th place. Now he needs to get his head down a little bit, try and close that gap to Drag King. Try and battle for P11. Further ahead, here's the midfield pack. Axis was 4th fastest in qualifying. Currently stuck in P8. He too had a moment on the first lap. Had a spin at turn 2. Recovered well. Still in the midfield fight. but a less than ideal situation for the championship leader. He's not going terribly slowly. The leaders are still... well, they're still within range-ish. What's the gap? About 10 seconds or so? Maybe 8 seconds? 8 seconds. Changing the lead. Oh, KD tries to fight back. He's off the road with that overtake. Side by side now, out of turn 3, round turn 4. KD used all of the racetrack and then some. Try and battle that. Now has DRS. Down towards turn 6 and then turn 7. I'll find a way through. Not close enough. Little Mick trying around the outside this time. And Coral probably does the wise thing and not battle Little Mick too much. Doesn't know where that car is at the moment. It's in 63 different dimensions at the same time. Yeah, let's let him go. Get on with your race. Coral low on battery too, 10%. He needs to find some DRS. Help him recharge those batteries. Oh, Mick, a mistake. At turn 13, he drops back down to 7th place, and he doesn't have DRS. Coral has it. So he'll hang on. Axis round the outside. At turn 14, a fine overtake from the championship leader. He moves to 7th, and Tom will try and follow through as well, but he's not close enough. Oh, yeah, that's not a promising sight at all. That's really not good. Saucy moves through into 3rd position now. The medium tyres steadily dropping off. The hard tyres are beginning to switch on. KD, now that's more typical. He's dumped the batteries down to 10% as Blockman moves to 11th place. The reason why he's dumped the battery is because he's outside of that 1 second range. He wants to get back in it. Black Baller, a mistake at the final corner. He loses time, but he doesn't lose a wing, and he doesn't lose his car, so he's still in the race. Axis getting by Coral down the inside here at turn 6. Coral a little bit wide there. Axis takes the position. Gap to the car in front. For Axis, 3.5 seconds, and that is Captain Schmeg. He's in a little world of his own. I reckon he's enjoying this at the moment. Got a gap to the cars behind, doesn't have to worry about them. He's got a gap to the cars in front, so he can just mind his own business. Just do his own race. KD. Now back within that 1 second range. He's 8.5 tenths behind. He needs to stay within that range. Saucy starting to close that gap. What's Rebel's battery looking like? 22%. So he's got a bit in reserve. Definitely a bit more than KD. Saucy though. Look at him go. Some straight line speed in that car. Draws alongside but can't find a way through. KD cuts the track. Keep P2 for now. KD with that moment at turn 2 means he won't get DRS, and look at him now, he's vulnerable. Can't do anything about that. The Red Bull moves into 2nd. He's now hunting down Rebel, our race leader. Axis hanging on to P6. Hasn't really closed in by much either. Little Mick and Tom, this is going to get sketchy. Thankfully they get it sorted. In the rich energy mobiles, I suppose. Similar colour scheme. Ah, the good old days. Oh, yellow's out. Is that Jay? It is. At the Anderson Bridge. Gets pointed back in the right direction. But he's got a broken front wing on that car. Oh, and into the wall again goes Little Mick. Tom tries to get through. It's now a drag race between the two rich energy cars. As that's very gentlemanly there from Jay. He understands he's got a broken car as Little Mick goes into the wall at turn 14. He understands he has a broken front wing. He doesn't want to get in the way, so he gets well out of the way. That's very, very gentlemanly there. He could have blocked up the track. He had every right to, but no, he got out of the way. Ooh, almost put himself in the wall there. Or put himself out of the race. He definitely hit the wall. Here's your leading duo. Rebel and Saucy now. KD, 1.3 seconds behind, losing grasp of the top two. Here comes the Verstappen mobile. Round the outside at turn 7. Saucy fights though. He's not giving it up easily. Saucy with the inside line at turn 8. He has the dominant position and he moves through into the race lead. Jay, new front wing on his car. He's now down in last position, but he theoretically can get to the end of the race from here. So it's not game over yet for Jay, but he has lost a considerable amount of time to those he was fighting with. He'll probably fall outside of the top 10 after the first stops. And even if he does get back inside the top 10, his tyres are going to be pretty shot by the end of the race. Four tenths to gap. Rebel not giving up. Got a bit of battery to play with. Can't say the same for Saucy. On board round the final 2 corners and onto the main straight. DRS open for Rebel. You'll close in. And turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Eventually reaches full throttle. Look at the traction difference. Just that gap opened up briefly at the exit of turn 3. Same again here at turn 5. DRS open on Rebel's car. Look at the Alpine. It's flying down the straight. Can't close in by enough though to attack into turn 7. And with the collective speed of the top 2, KD's losing time. He's now 2.1 seconds behind both Saucy and Rebel. So yeah, it's not a great scenario for KD. I imagine he's going to go for an undercut. Here's your midfield, led by Axis, Coral, Tom, JBH, recovered, got himself back inside the top 10 in 8th place. Some position change graphic, he's only 1 place down from where he qualified. A decent recovery indeed. Blockman's back inside the top 10 after Jay's mistake. He's hunting down Little Mick, who's occupying 9th. Round turn 14. Up towards 15. Axis, Coral and Tom. Be interesting to see how these fellas play themselves into this race. 2 different strategies. We've got Axis and Coral on hards, Tom on the mediums. He's trying to do the best he can on those medium compound tyres. As KD pits, what do you know? He went for an undercut. Who could have predicted that? Onto the main straightaway. DRS wide open on the B-Tech Aston Martin and the Rich Energy machine. KD pitting for a set of hard tyres will come out behind the 2 B-Tech Alfa Romeos. He's in 12th place. Gets back up to the front. Saucy. 7 tenths in hand to Rebel in P2. They're in their own little world now. No one's near them. It's all about keeping him mistake-free, keeping the pace up. Rebel doing the best he can to stay within DRS range. He knows that the longer he can do that, the better off he'll be. Currently doing a very good job managing his mediums, keeping him in the battle with Saucy. Demonstrating the pace and the longevity of the hard tyre. The Rebel can only do so much on those mediums and he decides to pit. So 1 lap after KD, he's in. Set of hards at the ready. Up go the jacks, on go the tyres, and away goes Rebel. Where is KD? KD's the black dot, making his way out of the chicane and around the final two corners. The gap was 2.1 or 2.2 seconds between Rebel and KD. The two Alphas should get by here. They do. But critically, Rebel's in front of KD. And now he gets him, or tries to get in front of Smokey. Around the outside at turn 5. Even on fresh tyres, he has plenty of grip. He fires it round the outside and takes 10th. KD closes in. Will he go for a bomb here? He shall. Down the inside at 7. He overcooks it big time. Thankfully, there's enough runoff area for him to hang on, or try to hang on. Oh, it's tight. Smokey not giving up. Down the inside at turn 9. Wheel-to-wheel contact. More contact as Smokey gets demoted down to 12th. Now Rebel's stuck behind Drag King. As I mentioned before, you can't do much through this middle sector. Will he try and master it? He's not close enough. So he backs off. He's going to set himself up for a big run. And he's got it as well. Good driving. He backed off early. Gave himself the run out of the corner and just slingshots his way by Drag King. What about KD? He's got a run going. Oh, gee whiz, that was tight. KD moves into 10th place. Tom is in the pits. Hard tyres at the ready. Go those used mediums. Fresh set of hards bolted on and away he leaves. Here's Rebel and KD. There's Smokey in the background. Drag King pits. Get off those medium tyres onto a set of hards. Yeah, an interesting little dynamic between these two and the two Alphas of Smokey and Drag King. Bit of desperation shown, particularly from KD. Big dive bomb down the inside of turn 7. Couldn't completely pull it up for the corner, and as he runs wide again, he's pushing. He is pushing too hard, frankly. He's losing himself too much time. He's now dropped to 1.5 seconds behind Rebel. Yeah, a bit of over-driving there. Gap increases 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. So yeah, this is not a great lap from KD. As Mr. Nas leaves the session. Hopefully he can find a way to rejoin as soon as possible. We've got JBH, Little Mick and Blockman in this train. Blockman going long on his mediums. Doing the best he can in a not so great situation. Up into 6th place. One thing that can definitely save him is a safety car at some point. Bunch up the field and then he can utilise the pace that he's got to try and carve his way through. Like he's done over the course of this opening stint. For now though, he's got an awkward strategy to try and sort of make work. He's essentially following the hard runners right now, stretching his mediums as long as he can. That way he can have ultra fresh hards, or maybe even softs if he dares to put those on for the end of the race, although those soft tyres really do burn out very, very, very quickly. Around turn 9, up towards the sling. Doing the best he can. Gotta give credit to that. Around the circuit. Very demanding, very narrow, very tough to pass. Driver who's doing quite well at the moment. Our race leader looking very comfortable out here. He's going to have mediums for the second stint. This guy will be a tough, tough cookie to try and beat. Captain Schmeg, 12.4 seconds behind. Again, I reckon he'd be pretty happy with this for the moment. Does have Axis just behind in 3rd place, 2.2 seconds behind. That gap has been steadily steadily dropping as Blockman finally pits. So 15, that's as far as he could stretch him. So just before the halfway mark. He's going to have really good hard tyres for the rest of this stint. He's going to be very quick on those tyres. Tom gets by Smokey, who I think made a mistake. He's now in the pits. I think that was a broken front wing on the front of that car. Let's find out. Here we go. Someone ready with a wing? I think so. Looks like it. Yeah, look at that. Completely destroyed it. There we go. Moved on to a fresh set of medium tyres. It'll be a bit of a stretch, but they should make it. Little Mick gets by Jay. Jay on old tyres. As I said, he's in the top 10. Look at that. But his tyres are going to be so bad, he'll fall outside of it. So Blockman will catch up and get him. For sure. I don't know about Drag King. Perhaps he could. Depending on how bad Jay's tyres get towards the end of the race. Back to your leader. Lap 17 now of 31. Well, 15 laps to go. Still got a fair way to go. Captain Schmeg's in. He was losing decent chunks of time to Axis, so he's blinked. Medium tyres on, and away he leaves. And he should get out in clear air, maybe? Or is KD, he's just given himself a 3-second time penalty. You can see how much time he's now lost to Rebel, 5.3 seconds. There goes Tom. So no, it won't be a clear track then for Captain Schmeg. He'll have a bit of work to do. Needs to get by the rich energy car of RF1 Tom. Rebels caught traffic, and that traffic is JBH on 16 lap old hards. He's going to be a sitting duck compared to the speedboat that is Rebel at the moment. Through the sling towards the chicane. Turns 11 and 12. Gaining. No dive bomb. He might try and set this up. He is. And he's going to make it work. What about that? Almost identical to Drag King. A few laps before. He moves through into 4th place. It's just smart driving. He's not over-driving this car. He's not pushing the limits. He's just hitting each apex as they come. And he's thinking. He understands there's a DRS zone coming up, so he runs it a little bit wide at the entry, gets nice rotation. And utilises DRS to just slingshot by. It's clean battling. KD gets by Saucy, so Saucy losing ground, obviously going long on those hard tyres. But he's going to have such a massive advantage with these fresh mediums in this second stint of the race. He'll catch up quickly to KD, but it'll be fascinating to see the dynamic between Rebel and Saucy here. Red Bull driver catch up. Jay, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Captain Schmeg still behind Tom, has not found a way through. You can see low on battery compared to Tom, 25%, that's all you need. Just need a little bit if you want to try and hang on to position. At the moment, he's doing exactly that, hanging on. Through the sling. Turns 11 and 12 here. There's Little Mick in P6. He's set to go to the end of the race on those tyres. DRS open. Schmeg closes the gap, looks to the inside. Nice and committed. Nice respect being shown as well from Tom there. Left plenty of room. Captain Schmeg moves through into 4th. Look at the Verstappen mobile. Nothing KD can do about this. Saucy moves through into P2. Look at KD drop back. Already 6/10 behind. KD having a real hard time with his car at the moment. Could be damage affecting him, but I don't know where he would have got it. But he is nowhere near as comfortable on those hard tyres compared to what he was capable of doing on the mediums. 6.3 seconds, now down to 6.2. Essentially, Saucy needs to close in by about half a second a lap. The freshness of these medium tyres will allow him to do that initially. But he has to do it from here to the end of the race. That's the critical thing. So he needs to look after the tyres a little bit. Try and make sure they can go the distance. As Drag King has left the session. Oh dear, that's another driver. Hopefully he can rejoin as soon as possible. Gap now down to 5.7. Let's have a look at the lap time, shall we? Rebel, round the final 2 corners, he will set a 1 minute 33.443. Compared to Saucy, 31.923. It's a night and day difference between Rebel and Saucy in terms of pace right now. But again, he can't overwork the tyre. If he uses up the tyre too soon, he'll be pretty dead by the end. He won't be gaining anywhere near as much time as what he's doing right now. Axis responded with a fastest lap. In fact, we might have a battle on for P6 here. We've got Little Mick leading this group. He's just got DRS. Try and hold off the likes of Blockman and Axis. Axis, though, setting up a run. Doesn't have the straight line speed to try and keep that fight alive. Oh, I had a brief look down the inside, but Blockman was certain he wouldn't go for it. So he just took the apex as normal. Didn't lose any time. That's a bit of mind games from Axis. Oh, look, I'm trying to have a go here. Maybe try and make Blockman think twice. Miss an apex. That way he can have a go at turn 8. The Blockman held firm. He took that apex at 7. He's hung on and he hasn't lost any time. Around turn 14. Little Mick has actually closed in on his teammate. Coral moves through into P10. Jay moves outside of the top 10, but I think that's as bad as it will get for Jay. So not bad, considering what happened earlier. 4-car train at Singapore. Where have we seen this before? Down towards turn 1. Tom at the front of it. Mick, Axis having a crack down the inside here at turn 1. Through 2. Cutting the track there at 2. Around the outside at 3. Blockman, can he hang on to the position? Not quite. Yellows are out. Who is it? It's Rebel! He's thrown it! He has spun at turn 7 and drops down to 2nd. Well, there goes the intriguing battle for the race lead. Rebel's blown it. He's completely blown it. We'll go back to this. Blockman can't find a way back through on Axis, so Axis keeps P7. I don't believe that. That was going to be an incredibly intriguing battle between Saucy and Rebel, but it's over. Saucy will have the race win quite comfortably, unless he makes a mistake or there's a safety car. At the moment, we're not getting a safety car. We've already done 21 green flag laps. These guys aren't ready to crash. A bit of a fuel issue for Mick as well. You can see on the telemetry he's got a yellow fuel icon. He needs to manage that. If he runs out of fuel before the checkered flag falls, he might be in trouble. Axis closing in. Not by enough. Can't find a way through. Round the final 2 corners and back onto the main straightaway. DRS over. Look at that thing go. It pulled away by a car. Oh, it pulled away by a car length, then it teleported back a car length just briefly. Axis Struggling to find a way through. He's got so much corner speed, but not enough straight line speed. Look at Mick's car go. It flies off. Axis needs to try and consider a more unorthodox overtaking position on the racetrack. It's obvious that the straight line speed of Mick's car is just too much to overcome. So he needs to be ingenious. And I think the place you've got to do it is turn 13, the hairpin. Because he's going to gain time through here. Through the sling, he should gain time. Look at him close in. Through the chicane. So you need to dive bomb at 13. You have to dive bomb. Surely, go for it. He's going to have a go. Mick gives him room. I think he needed to be more aggressive. He needed to be. Or maybe even here now. No, he doesn't go for it. Set up a decent run. Again in the slip. He's building up momentum. Mick half covers. Needs to send it in. Oh, I can't do it. Mick's very good on the brakes. Down the inside at the penultimate corner. Yeah, he backs out. That's wise. Oh, almost throws it. Yeah, Axis needed to be more committed on the brakes at turn 13. Needed to really send it down the inside. Mick was ready for it. He left so much room. But Axis, he was too conservative. Didn't force a nose down the inside. If he was more aggressive, he would have got that move done. He could have defended at 14 and at 16 to try and hold on to the position. And look at Mick, half covering. Again, no attempt for a move at turn 7. Stays behind, running wide as Blockman. He'd just be hoping that maybe one of these guys has an incident, picks up a free place. Has a look down the inside at turn 9. Can't get it done. Through 10. Come on. Got to give it some on the brakes. Nah, not... Or maybe he is. No, he's not. No, he's not. Not close enough. Set up a decent run. Just got to be brave. If you want that position, you really want it, you got to be brave. Nice and around the outside. Mick defending well. I got to give credit to him. He is defending very well. Utilising the straight line speed of that car to full effect. And Axis plainly just doesn't have anything in response. Ooh. It doesn't help with the lag either. Well, that helped him. The lag helped him. Axis moves through. He's into 6th. I think he's got enough margin in hand to hold off Little Mick as well. He does. Tom, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Blockman moves through. He's into P7. Little Mick not close enough to do anything there. Axis closing in on Tom. He'll have an easier time passing Tom. Tom doesn't have any DRS to try and help him out. So he's on older tyres, on a harder compound. Should be fairly easy work for Axis. He can set up a move coming out of turn 13. Bit like what Rebel's done in the past. Oh, that lag wasn't great. Alright. No, not quite. He wasn't close enough initially to try and set up a move. Tom will hang on here at turn 14, no doubt. Alright, so I guess at this point Axis will probably wait until turn 7. I don't know if he'll go for the move at turn 1. If he does, he does, but he'll definitely go for it at turn 7. Up towards the final 2 corners, 18, 19. He is close. I just don't think he'll go for it. Tom covers anyway. Make sure he doesn't go for it. Bit of a wiggle. There's Blockman just behind as well. Up towards turn number 5. So set up a nice run here. Make sure you maximise exit speed. It's a tidy run from Axis. He'll get by with these. He'll go down the inside here at turn 7. Tom doesn't make it easy. Axis doesn't make it easy for himself either. He throws it into the wall. And Blockman takes 2 for 1. He moves into 5th. Oh, dearie me. Tom made it difficult and then Axis outbroke himself on the marbles. And he drops down to P7. Blockman demonstrating that patience pays dividends. Made up 2 free spots out of nothing. And he can now try and get his head down. Try and keep Tom and Axis at bay. Got these guys catching up as well. We got a real neat midfield battle. Look at them. 6 cars all in a row. Different strategies, doesn't matter. They're all coming together towards the end of the race. That's great. Awesome stuff. Oh. Some of the best entertainment I've got out of Singapore so far. Through turn 2, round 3. Coral's stuck at the back of this train. He's in a decent position though. A couple of cars in front with time penalties. So he's set to jump up the order a little bit. Gain some extra points for himself. KD not doing himself any favours. Gets himself another 3-second time penalty. But again, this perfectly illustrates just when DRS trains form, as Little Mick gets a penalty now. That's another car that Coral is set to pass, so long as he himself doesn't get a penalty. And I think that's got to be the first thing you have on your mind. Just, if you can't pass anybody, then just keep it a bit conservative. Keep it within the white lines. Don't do anything silly. And pick up what you can. It's a bit like what Blockman did a few moments ago. He couldn't really get himself in a position to pass, so he waited and he waited and he waited, and eventually an opportunity arose, and he took it with both hands. And he's up to 5th. From the back of the field, he's up to 5th. Patience can pay off, but you got to drive smart while you're being patient. Ooh, JBH had a brief little look down the inside there of Little Mick, but couldn't really commit to it. Almost loses the back of the car at turn 17. These guys begin lap 27 of 31. 5 to go here at Marina Bay. Yeah, a neat scrap. I'm enjoying this. It's tightly fought battling. But ultimately, it's going to be patience and precision that pays off the most. As well as a bit of straight line speed. Little Mick down the inside here at turn 7. Axis leaves him room. They're side by side heading towards turn 8. But ultimately, Axis gives in. As well as that, Coral has moved up to 9th. Tom trying to break away from the battle behind. He's got a bit of clear track in front of him. 2.3 seconds of it to be exact. Now, I better check as well. So, Mr. Nars, this is an AI. Same with Drag King. So those two won't be classified. We'll only have 13 classified by the end of this one. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Very similar to what we saw in the real life Grand Prix. Just DRS trains, man. They're almost impossible to make your way through. But when these trains start to form, patience is the biggest thing that pays off. If you're stuck in the middle of them, or stuck at the back of them, you just got to be patient. Drive smart, drive well, don't do anything stupid. Unfortunately for Rebel, he did a bit of a dum-dum right there at turn 7. It cost him a shot of winning this race. Whether or not he could have actually pulled it off, that's another question entirely. But he didn't do himself any favours. He's let Saucy go. He's way out in front now, 13.5 seconds. And as I said, the only thing that can undo Saucy now is a safety car, or him actually bidding it out of the race. And he won't be doing that. He's got too big of a lead right now to throw it away. He just needs to drive smart, not do anything silly. Past the BTEC Ferrari, Mr. Nars, who hasn't found his way back into the session. As I said, he won't be classified in the final results. Only 3 laps to go for our race leader. Best result so far this season is a 2nd place finish last week at Spa. Got 2 second places as a matter of fact. 2nd in the sprint, 2nd with fastest lap in the main race. Been winless so far, just needs to keep it tidy. At the moment he's doing exactly that. As a matter of fact, KD might be in a bit of trouble. He's occupying 3rd place, but he won't occupy by the end of it. 3.1 seconds is the margin between him and Captain Schmeg. As long as Captain Schmeg doesn't get a penalty himself, he could be set for a podium. Be massive. It'll be the first time in a while since he's finished on the podium. Definitely first time this season. Blockman in 5th. Trying to hunt down Captain Schmeg. Maybe try and secure a podium finish. Or at least finish in front of KD. In which case he's already within range. He's 5.9 behind. There's a definite chance Blockman can finish 4th. A possibility for him to finish on the podium. Completely depends on Captain Schmeg though. Up towards the final chicane, the gap shrinks to 2 seconds between Schmeg and Blockman. Has to try and hold him off for 2 more laps. A second a lap. Blockman knows the target. Down the main straightaway towards turns 1, 2 and 3. Meanwhile, Axis under a little bit of pressure. Coral, no DRS open on that car for some reason. Don't know why, but it was not open. He heads around turn 3. Towards turn 5. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there from Coral. Now sits at 4/10. JBH closes in. Not by enough though. Stays behind. Blockman now 1.3 behind Captain Schmeg. Hunting down the harsh driver. Round the half at turn 13. Towards turn 14. The gap shrinks to almost a second. Captain Schmeg, I reckon he'd have his heart in his mouth a little bit here. Desperately trying to hang on to a potential podium finish. The Blockman's within range now. 1 second behind. Less than 1 second. It's now half a second behind as he heads on to the main straightaway to begin the final lap. Some DRS assistance for Captain Schmeg because of the AI of Mr. Nars. So the gap stays at half a second. But we got one hell of a long DRS zone coming up. Blockman is poised here to take 4th. Out of turn 5. DRS open. Blockman closing in. Captain Schmeg can't do a thing about it except try and send it round the outside, which he does. Down the inside at turn 8. Can he hang on? He is trying to. Down towards turn 9. Blockman sends it in. They make contact. They both spin. They both pirouette. Oh my days, who's next to come through? It's Tom! Tom moves through. Blockman down to 5th. KD might be set for a podium finish now. He's been gifted a podium. Oh my days. Can you possibly believe that? Saucy will make his way around the final 2 corners to complete a perfect drive here at Marina Bay. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix by a huge margin. P2 will go to Rebel, another podium place in his championship efforts. And KD gifted a podium. He will finish in 3rd. Can you believe that? And see where Captain Schmeg's ended up. Blockman will finish 4th. Mick, Axis will finish in front of Coral. Captain Schmeg will finish in 8th. Man. That's a proper kick in the guts. Has not scored a podium in some time. Put together a really good race, but he and Blockman came together on the last lap. Ultimately finish well down from where they were fighting. What a fascinating little race that was. But no one was touching this man. No one. RF1 Tom, given driver of the day. Here is your race winner. A fine performance from Saucy. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix. P2 to Rebel, P3 to KD. The unofficial results then of the Singapore Grand Prix. Saucy, your race winner by 13.4 seconds over Rebel in P2. KD completes the podium places in 3rd. Blockman in 4th, followed by RF1 Tom. From 11th, he finishes 5th. Axis recovered well to finish in P6. Coral in 7th. Captain Schmeg in 8th. Little Mick 9th. And JBH rounds out to 10. Jay, a decent recovery, finishes 11th, followed by Smokey and Black Baller, our final classified finisher. That is because Drag King and Mr. Nas DC during the session and weren't able to return to it. So we started with 15 and ended with 13 on the racetrack. One fine performance right at the top of the board. Oh, what a fascinating little race that was. Plenty of strategy games being played, plenty of drama as well. Just trying to find Captain Schmeg's last podium, but yeah. Hey, you're all good. But no, well done, mate. Excellent performance at Singapore. Put together a really, really good drive. Mega effort. Absolutely mega. Yeah, congrats to our top 3. KD, well done. Another podium finish for yourself. Not bad at all. And yeah, Rebel P2. I guess it could have been a lot worse. You could have ended up in the wall after your spin, but you kept it out, so second place is yours, and another decent little result for you in your championship hopes. No, that was That was alright. That wasn't too bad at all. I enjoyed that one. And I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. And we'll see you next week for round 6 of the championship at Suzuka Circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. That's bound to be quite a lot of fun. Until then, it's goodbye.